Spotlight.
This is Akashvani. In the program Spotlight, now we bring you a discussion on India-Israel Special Strategic Partnership, deepening cooperation in a changing geopolitical landscape. The participants are Anil Wadhwa, former ambassador, and Gaura Dhawanlal, anchor.
Hello and welcome to our program. Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu held a telephonic review reaffirming their commitment to the partnership between India and Israel and discussing regional security and trade updates in West Asia. Today, our conversation in Spotlight will be on India-Israel Special Strategic Partnership. We are delighted to have with us our expert on the show, former ambassador, Mr. Anil Wadhwa. Mr. Wadhwa, welcome to our program.
Thank you.
So, Mr. Wadhwa, when we go back a little bit towards the beginning of this year, India and Israel elevated their ties to a special strategic partnership for peace, innovation and prosperity. And this was during our Indian Prime Minister's state visit to Israel in February 2026. So this framework, as we know, focuses on expanding bilateral cooperation across defense, high-tech sectors, and regional stability. So what do you think this conversation that the Prime Minister has had with the Israeli Prime Minister, what really was the purpose of this? Just keeping communication going?
So the political relationship between the two countries has actually acquired unprecedented momentum during the past decade. And we saw that a defining moment came in July 2017 when Prime Minister Modi became the first Indian Prime Minister to visit Israel. Although we had diplomatic relations for 25 odd years, no Prime Minister from India had previously undertaken a bilateral visit. So that visit was more than a symbolic milestone because it reflected India's confidence in pursuing an independent relationship with Israel while remaining fully committed to its long-standing support for Palestine. Since then, we've seen that there's a certain amount of warmth displayed during the visits of the two prime ministers to each other. And throughout these visits, we've seen the two leaders together visiting innovation centers, agricultural products, water conservation facilities, etc. And of course, history demonstrates that when leaders develop mutual confidence, the bilateral relationship often accelerates. So there is a certain amount of personal rapport between the two prime ministers, and that has undoubtedly imparted fresh momentum to India-Israel relations. We've seen also that since then the two leaders have remained in regular contact, discussing regional developments, terrorism, technological cooperation, and economic opportunities. And their interactions have helped transform what was once viewed primarily as a defense relationship into a truly comprehensive strategic partnership. So we should see the recent conversation that the two prime ministers had also in the same context.
Right. So when we see the developing of an increasingly multipolar world order, India has also realized that relationship building and personal rapport, as you spoke about, is very, very critical between leaders of two nations. Wanting to draw your attention to, I think, somewhere a balancing act, because we know that there are other regional players. Israel is a regional player in the region. There is current unrest. There is this Iran and Israel conflict, which is going on quite extended. So India's balancing act and actually saying that, our position politically and our bilateral trade, let's not mix the issues. How well do you think we've managed to do that?
The geopolitical importance of India-Israel partnership has never been greater. And of course, the world is passing through a period of profound transformation. We now have an increasingly competitive international order, which is marked by geopolitical rivalry. And then we have disruptions in global supply chains, the technological competition, terrorism, and new security challenges. And West Asia itself has undergone significant changes. Because earlier we used to view West Asia from the lens of oil and regional conflict. But this region has emerged as an important hub for technology, logistics, infrastructure, digital connectivity, and investment. Now, of course, you asked a very important question about how we balance our relationship with Israel as well as other countries in the region. So I think the story of our relationship with Israel is also a story of our evolving foreign policy. As India's economic and strategic profile has expanded, so too has its ability to pursue independent relationships based solely on national interest. And today, India maintains strong and productive relations with Israel while simultaneously preserving its historical support for the Palestinian cause. So, this balanced diplomacy has become one of the defining characteristics of India's engagement with West Asia. At the same time, India has an excellent relationship with other major players in the region, the GCC states in particular, also Iran, and at the same time, the other countries in the region, because of the fact that India has 10 million strong diaspora in this region who are contributing economically, sending back remittances, and are deeply involved in the day-to-day running of these economies. So India continues to maintain excellent relationship with all these countries. And as I said, as time has evolved and as the economy of India has progressed, it has been able to establish itself as an independent player, looking after its self-interest, while at the same time maintaining itself as a trusted collaborator in nation building.
Right. So when we look at the present and the future, do help us understand that what are some areas which actually could catapult the bilateral relations in terms of the economy and the economic growth that we have and increase maybe at a geometric pace, because there are certain sunrise areas where actually there could be a lot of give and take, and the quantum amount of money coming in and sharing could also be high. So something which is non-traditional but actually sunrise sectors, what could they be?
So between India and Israel, of course, there are many such sunrise sectors as you referred to, because security cooperation traditionally has been one of the strongest pillars of the bilateral ties between India and Israel. That's because of counter-terrorism cooperation, which occupies a central space. Then slowly, Israel emerged as one of India's most important defense partners, and emphasis increasingly was being placed upon joint research, co-development, technology transfer, and manufacturing. But then moving on from there, we collaborated a lot in homeland security, intelligence sharing. But our bilateral trade has also expanded quite substantially because bilateral trade has diversified now. It used to be confined to diamonds and some chemicals, but now it has moved on to pharmaceuticals, machinery, electronic, agricultural products, medical devices, and high technology services. Also, both governments are encouraging investments in manufacturing and renewable energy, logistics, digital infrastructure, and advanced technologies. If you look at the bilateral trade between the two countries, it's now about $3.93 billion dollars. This was 2025-26 figures. Investments from India, 443 million into Israel, and about 334 million from Israel into India. But what's more important is that on 4th of July 2026, India and Israel they have a bilateral investment agreement which has gone into force, and this is going to spur investments in many fields. And most important of these will be the startup field, for instance, artificial intelligence, cybersecurity, emerging technologies which extend beyond artificial intelligence. Also, we have areas like agriculture, which especially micro irrigation, water management, which is extremely important for India today, space, which is another promising frontier, healthcare and medical technologies, and of course the connectivity aspects. For example, we have two new initiatives, which is the IMEC and I2U2, two new groupings which can give rise to a number of productive enterprises and boost trade and investment between the two countries.
Mr. Badwa, drawing your attention to something which is actually quite basic, but I think the building block of national stability across all countries, and we're talking of food security here. So when we see that, as you said, there's so many changes happening across, the rate and pace of change is also very fast. There is instability, there are pockets of stability. Food security is a pillar that anchors national interest for, I think, all countries across. In this area, India and Israel, some bilateral collaboration here which would help both countries?
Yes, some very important collaboration has taken place because that has touched the lives of ordinary citizens. None has been more visible than agriculture and water management. And in fact, Israeli scientists and agricultural experts have been working with Indian farmers to improve productivity, to conserve scarce water resources, and also to introduce modern cultivation techniques. And in fact, Israel has created a network of centers of excellence across several Indian states where farmers receive training in modern horticulture, protected cultivation, nursery management, post-harvest practices, and precision farming. Also, in the field of micro irrigation, particularly drip irrigation, India has benefited a lot from Israel. So, combined with fertigation, soil moisture monitoring, and precision agriculture, these technologies have enabled our farmers to produce more with fewer resources. Then, of course, Israel is recognized globally for its expertise in desalination, in wastewater recycling, leak detection, smart water distribution systems, and efficient urban water management. And these are precisely the technologies that India will increasingly require as it urbanizes and seeks sustainable solutions for its growing population. And I think water, once viewed simply as a development issue, has become an important component of national resilience, and our cooperation in this field is likely to deepen further in the coming years. You mentioned also food security in particular. Of course, food security will benefit from these kinds of collaboration, but I'd like to also particularly mention the projects that India and Israel have jointly undertaken in the I2U2 process. We have actually looked at particularly the areas of agriculture, hydroponics in particular, some very practical cooperation in areas like food security, renewable energy, infrastructure, technology, health, transportation, and investments in these fields.
Drawing your attention, Mr. Vadhwa, to a little contextual and situational scenario. We know there is a turmoil in that area, and there would be certain areas of redevelopment, bringing the Israeli economy back on track, because the focus right now is on actually engaging and keeping their national integrity alive. So in terms of their recovery and strengthening them as a result of this conflict, what role can India play in terms of infrastructure development, in terms of bilateral? What could be areas of opportunity for us there?
I think what has happened in particular is that healthcare and medical technologies offer considerable opportunities now for India suddenly, because I think while Israel has strengths in medical innovation, in diagnostics and digital health and biotechnology, India has a globally recognized pharmaceutical industry, a vaccine manufacturing capacity, and an expanding digital health ecosystem. So we've had this experience of COVID-19 pandemic, and that demonstrated that international scientific collaboration is indispensable in addressing global health emergencies. So we can actually well work together. We are well positioned to work together in pharmaceuticals, biotechnology, in medical devices, and public health research in particular. Also, going forward, the reconstruction of areas in Israel which have been damaged as a result of the ongoing war in West Asia will present an opportunity for Indian construction firms, in particular for Indian labor. The fact that we've signed an additional labor protocol over 5 years for 50,000 Indian workers to work in Israel. This is in addition to the 20,000 odd Indian workers who are already there. And this means that they will have opportunity to live and work in Israel and also to make a proper living. There is also an expanded collaboration which is possible in the port sector. India has invested in the Haifa port in Israel. It's an Adani investment. And going forward, there will be a lot of auxiliary services which will be required
Right.
in maintaining the port.
Before we say thank you, briefly, if you could share with us what really makes a bilateral agreement go from strength to strength.
If we look at the experience of Israel and India, we have a very uncertain world, and there is a geopolitical fault lines are multiplying, technological change is transforming every aspect of our lives, and the partnership between India and Israel stands as a testament to what sustained political will, mutual confidence, and shared purpose can achieve. Because it's been strengthened leadership, it's been enriched by people-to-people ties, and also inspired by a common commitment to innovation. So this partnership is well positioned to play an even more significant role in shaping the future of both nations and also contributing to progress and prosperity far beyond their own borders.
Right. And on this note, that may relationship building be the basis and strength on which nations collaborate and coexist together. Mr. Anil Vadhwa, thank you so much for coming on to our program today.
Thank you.
You were listening to a discussion on India-Israel Special Strategic Partnership, Deepening Cooperation in a Changing Geopolitical Landscape. The participants were Anil Vadhwa, former ambassador, and Gaura Dhawanlal, anchor. This program was produced and presented by the News Services Division of Akashvani. You can listen to it on our mobile app News on AIR. This program is also available on our YouTube channel, News on AIR Official. You may share your feedback about this program through email at eirnsdtalks@gmail.com or WhatsApp on 928 909 4044.
Spotlight.